This is the parameter setting of alcohol spray. These three parameters: setting of offset, length and speed of alcohol spray on cleaning paper. The length of the shower is also an automatically generated parameter based on the length of the PCB. The faster the nozzle moves, the less alcohol there will be. If the nozzle moves very slowly, the more alcohol is sprayed on top of the cleaning paper. You can check the effect when you spray. Click on the Other Settings button. This is the parameter setting for separating the PCB solder from the stencil after printing. This is the process of separating the PCB from the stencil, and this setting prevents problems such as solder pulling tips and lasting. Generally, when there are very small holes such as BGA, QFN, etc., it needs to be set. Like this, the PCB separation process, there are two main parameters, one is the separation distance and separation speed. It's these two parameters. The parameter separation distance is now 1.5 毫米. Separation speed is 0.5毫米 sec. These parameters can be met by most products. If these parameters cannot be met, they can also be modified to suit your requirements. It's a time to pause. It's a pause after the squeegee prints. These two parameters are the speed at which the squeegee is raised and the speed at which the squeegee is lowered. This is the speed at which the scraper rises and falls. Here's 3 毫米 sec. This is the pressure setting of the scraper, meaning that 1000 克 of pressure is roughly 0.3 毫米 drop. If it goes down 1000 克, it means the squeegee goes down 0.3 毫米. Click Save. Let's see here. Look here, this is the front scraper and the back scraper, set at 3000 克 pressure. The 3000 克 pressure set here represents a 0.9 毫米 drop in the squeegee. This is the location of the start and end coordinates of the front scraper. This is the position of the start and end coordinates of the rear scraper. You can also set the travel distance between the front and rear scrapers on request. You can check if the squeegee is in the right position by clicking the button next to it. This is a parameter that is generated by the machine by default and you can change it. It's a waiting period. What this means is that the PCB was printed twice, with a switching wait time in between. By taking this next to it, you mean that you need to do R, prints per PCB. Click Other to take a look at the other parameter settings. This cleaning mode has been described before. No parameters need to be set for this section. This part is also an unused parameter. This parameter is the parameter for the connection to the SPI machine solder paste inspection machine. This means that if the SPI machine checks the solder for offset problems, the solder printer is notified via the MIS system to adjust the offset. This is the setting for cleaning the template from the front to the back or from the back to the front. The parameters to be adjusted are those just described. Once the parameters are set, we begin normal solder printing. Save all data. Okay, we're now on to the official printing of PCB products. Click the Start button on the home page and click OK. Click the Start button and a window will appear asking for the PCB to enter. This is the Start button. After clicking Start, the machine will then prompt you whether to add solder. No. Waiting for PCB to enter. If an exception occurs, press the Reset button. When alarm occurs, press Reset. Pause and start. This is the power indicator light. This is the LED light inside the machine. If the machine is operating normally, pause it first, then open the safety door to handle things. The best safety state is to press the Stop button here. Temporary stop on the machine, stop on the display. Okay, let's start solder printing. We are now going to show you how we can fine-tune if the solder print is offset. If the mark recognition fails, we adjust the font size of the box. After adjustment, click the OK button. When printing solder for the first time, a fine-tuning dialog box pops up. This is the PCB table, which we need to adjust, while the template is fixed. When the solder shifts, how do you adjust it? Picture it in your mind. X means the PCB moves to the left. X means the PCB moves to the right. Y indicating that the PCB moves forward as a whole in the Y-axis direction. Y indicating that the PCB as a whole moves backward along the Y-axis direction. Y means that the PCB moves forward along the Y direction and the others are stationary. Y means that the PCB moves backward along the Y direction and the others are stationary. It is like the PCB is rotating. YR means that the PCB moves forward along the YR direction and the others are stationary. YR means that the PCB moves backward along the YR direction and the others are stationary. There is a motor on each side of Y and YR, which is actually used to control the rotation direction of the PCB. Z means the PCB rises upward in the Z-axis direction. Z indicates that the PCB descends downward along the Z-axis. If there is a gap between the PCB and the template, click Z on the PCB to make it rise upward. This Z-axis rises up. This Z means the Z-axis is down. This is the PCB rotation button, clockwise and counterclockwise. The PCB rotates like this. This is similar to the rotation of Y and YR. Same meaning. If you move how much, the value will be shown here. I'll show you how to do it, and you can check the values. This is the value you adjusted. The value of each axis you adjust will be displayed above. This is the amount of adjustment each time you click it. There are different values. If you want to adjust it higher, you choose a higher value. If you want to adjust it more finely, you choose the smallest value. You first select the value you want to adjust, and then adjust the direction of the moving axis. You click and move a value. If you choose a different value, you will also move the corresponding value. If you have completed debugging and checked that the second PCB can meet your requirements and there is no need to adjust the offset, we will no longer display the window by clicking this. If you don't check this button every time you solder print a PCB, this dialog box will pop up to remind you if you need to adjust the offset. Click this and then click OK. If I need to do a solder print offset adjustment again, we turn this on. Press the pause button on the machine first. Click on this item menu. Check this box to show the adjustment window. Let's demonstrate this. Click OK to save the data. We press the Start button on the machine and demonstrate it again. If the mark recognition window keeps popping up every time, it means that the mark was not made properly and you need to remake the mark point later. We adjust the position and size of the mark point and then click the OK button. The offset adjustment window pops up. If adjustment is required, we move in the direction that needs to be adjusted. If there are no issues, we don't need to make any adjustments. These are the buttons that release the templates and frames. Okay, this is all the programming teaching videos. If you don't understand, you can watch the video repeatedly. If you still don't understand, please contact us. I hope you can like and follow us. We will share teaching videos for a long time. I hope it can help you. Thank you.